Hello and welcome to this special episode of Guide Adventures. My name is Guy, and as you've noticed, I'm not on screen right now. That's because I'm currently suffering from a horrific cold. And so I will do my very best to give you what you are hopefully looking forward to, which is the finale of our Lumley Castle. And here it is, the cover I designed for A Bloody Mess, Murder at the Castle. Now, I took all of the information that you have been giving me in the comments in the previous videos, and I have put them together into this final video. And so we have a bloody mess, and our characters are now Lord and Lady Branbury, who are gnomes. This is a gnomish adventure, and it's for PCs levels 1 through 5. Now, why is it for PCs levels 1 through 5? Because this is a murder mystery. There isn't a huge amount of combat that needs to take place. So the PCs could actually be any level. It doesn't really matter. I have included some combat because, well, it is D&D after all, and combat is liked by some, so there are some opportunities for it. Now, what have I done specifically? Well, the king is murdered, and I'm not going to tell you by whom. All I am going to tell you is that there's lots and lots of information here for the players to discover, and it should be a lot of fun. Now, I have included eavesdropping, so the players should be able to hear conversations going on between the NPCs. That means that I've written a lot of NPC stuff. There's training that guards need practice, and if the PCs join the guards in this training, the guards will let loose some information. There's letter drops, there's confessions, there's trials. The ghosts that inhabit this castle, and there are many ghosts, they will give the PCs trials to complete, and then they'll give them information. So there is a full write-up of what the murder is all about, which I'm not going to tell you. All I can tell you is, as it is a murder mystery, we have worked out a time frame which begins months before the murder and then runs to 30 minutes, 10 minutes, and then just after the murder. And I think that there is a lot of stuff here that's really important. And the insight skill check is something that I think I certainly have been misusing in my games, and it will not be done anymore because it very specifically says that it's to reveal the mood and intent of a character, but not necessarily a lie or a deception. And this becomes important because your player characters in this murder mystery are going to be using insight on every single character that they interview. It doesn't mean that they're lying. It could mean that they're nervous. It could mean that they are excited. It could mean that they are trying to conceal something, not that they're necessarily lying. I think that's really important, is to not tell your player characters, oh, you think the Count is lying. That's important. So we've got Lord Branbury, we've got Lady Liliana Branbury, his wife, and they are hosting King Thagan the 13th, and he is accompanied by Lord Gorst and his wonderful General Calcari. There they are there, the king and his two advisors. And the murder is committed. It is meant to be a perfect murder. It involves some gamblers. It involves a baker. It involves a stonemason and their apprentice, an assassin who didn't get a note, an alchemist, a maid, the steward, of course, the groundskeeper who wasn't really keeping the grounds, a sick son, an apothecary who gave poison to someone, just a whole bunch of interesting characters who are all going to give just a little bit of information to each of the players. Now, here's the first letter drop. And this is something that the PCs can find fairly early on in the game. It says Thelg, Silka Coal and Niter Coal. Before King's Ball at Branbury, been told your fee is 500 each, no corpses, included is fee, expect swift action. What does this mean? What does this mean? Well, it won't really mean much to the player characters initially, but over time it will. It will start to make sense. This entire adventure is designed to be a whole bunch of pieces that get put together to reveal something. Now, we've got a ghost great-grandfather. He drifts around and he will tell the PCs certain things. He will also give them certain challenges to do. We then have the actual castle map, which you saw me making and adjusting as I needed to. And so we have the first floor. And then, of course, we have the main floor. Now, there are lots of animals around, and something that we do have to take into consideration with D&D Adventure Mysteries is speak with plants or animals. And so we've got squirrels, we've got rats, we've got the plants and things, but they don't know a huge amount of what's going on because time is a bit of a problem here. A plant doesn't know the difference between 10 p.m., 10th bell, or 9th bell, or 7th bell, just that something happened when it was dark. So there are things like that. We've got the other floors, which are very, very important. Zone of truth and detect thoughts. Now, this is another thing that can derail murder mysteries. Well, I think it was you. Did you murder the person? You're in a zone of truth and you failed your saving throw. Yes or no? So, in my thinking, most of the important people, kings, queens, lords, ladies, those who have secrets to protect are most likely going to be wearing rings of non-detection, of mind protection, of zone of truth protection. They are going to have those things because, quite frankly, this is important state secret stuff that needs to be kept secret unless the PCs get a mandate, which they're not going to from the general or from the king's aide for various reasons, which are very apparent within the adventure. They're not going to get a mandate to cast these kind of spells or to order people to remove their kind of magical items and things. There's the king's bedroom, all nice and royally purple, and the players can wander around. They can do all sorts of kind of wonderful things. There's a trapped chest in there for the thieves to try and get into. There's the bathroom where the murder is committed, and rightly so. Some of you pointed out some flaws in the murderer's plan, and those flaws I had to take into account. And so I actually forgot to add something. Now, the king's ghost does come back, but he doesn't know who murdered him. It was too dark and he's too painful and miserable and all that kind of wonderful stuff. Here's the second letter, which I did have a lot of fun generating. I will confess, I did use AI to generate the external seal detailing, but then used Photoshop to add in the T and the K because this is Twist Kimball. Just a little letterhead that the folks can then sort of have a look at and read. And here's just yet another piece of very interesting information that really, on its own, means nothing. But when combined together, it gives the PCs a lot. I like these kind of handouts. It gives the PCs something to hold on to. They can start to look at dates and times. The 14th of June is 4 months before the actual ball itself. So this is something that could be quite useful to do. And then there are some oozes. If the PCs go into the sewers, there's some oozes that they can fight. And then this page I added on as a result of your comments from last week's video. I had completely forgotten about the parrots, which are everywhere in Lumley Castle. I could kick myself. So I quickly went along, found some traditional heraldic parrots, which you will see all over Lumley Castle if you go there, popinjays as they're called in heraldry terms. And of course they called Ralph, Richard and John, in honor of the important names that the Lumley men have had throughout history. And these parrots account for something that I hadn't accounted for in the murder mystery, but which you picked up. The glass jars holding the acid. And so, where and what happened to those, it creates an interesting little moment. The parrots are the ones who are going to reveal it. And so we've incorporated the parrots, and the parrots actually become a foil throughout the entire adventure. Because at any point, if the PCs are lost, the parrots can actually talk. So they don't even need to speak with animals. And the parrots have got these phrases which they can drop. All sorts of things. Ding dong, wrong side. Ding dong, gone inside. You know, things like that, where the players go, what? What does this mean? And long and short of it, the ding-dong is the man who rings the bell, who keeps track of time, and he's on the wrong side. He was told to go to the other side of the castle for a reason. Who told him to do that? Why did he go to the other side of the castle? Well, those are answers that if the players can come up with, they will solve most of this murder mystery straight away. So, again, the parrots became a wonderful, wonderful technique for being able to steer the players in the right direction if they're getting lost. And so then we get to the very end. I made a little portrait of Lord and Lady Branbury as they would appear in a fantasy kind of environment as two gnomes. I think they make quite a handsome couple. And of course, there we go. So that is the entirety. It's 22 pages of adventure with all of the stats for various bits and pieces. I've had a lot of fun making this adventure, and I really wish that I wasn't so incommoded with this cold, but I am, and there we are. And so, what is next? Well, next, I have to say, is quite an exciting thing that may or may take place at sea. But you will have to find out what that is next week when I return for more guide adventures, and hopefully it will lead us to victory. Anyway, until next week, thank you to my wonderful patrons who get a copy of this adventure this month. You actually get 2 adventures this month, a Star Trek one and this one. So very exciting month for you. And to all of you for watching all the way through until the very end. Until next week, I wish you and yours the happiest of adventure creation.